What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I have been playing through Colin McRae's Dirt, which is going to again be the first game of this series, and I gotta admit, the carless and variety in this game really had me shook. A few reasons for that. For one, this was going to be back in 2007, and on top of that, I was not expecting this game to have some of the classes that it does. So for one, everybody is going to expect that yes, we're going to have some of the rally cars like front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, and classic. And on top of that, we're also going to have the four-wheel drive class. So you pretty much had a nice mix of different rally vehicles if you wanted to mess with them. And you are going to see a noticeable difference on how they handle like front wheel drive to rear. Also driving a classic rally compared to something like a four-wheel drive or something like that. So there was going to be some very unique classes in this game. And I gotta admit, with that was also going to bring some very unique vehicles. For example, there was going to be a different vehicle I've actually never seen a racing game, which was going to be a Lancia. This was going to be like the upgraded one. I think it was like 300,000 euros in game. I've honestly never seen anything like this, guys. Do let me know your thoughts on this car in the comments below. And the reason why I say that is I've never seen this car in a different racing game. So when I saw it, it is obviously going to look like a more modern version of like a Stratos or something like that. But seeing cars like this in this really was going to make the game even more interesting because I was not expecting half the car list or the classes in the game. So if y'all are wondering what are going to be the classes where we're going to have the Rally, as I mentioned, we then have the Super Buggies, which are pretty much going to be like Class 1 buggies, but they are going to be much smaller, different suspension. We're then going to have the Pro 4 trucks, which is obviously going to be a trophy truck. We then are going to have the Class 1 buggies, which are going to be the full-size ones that you see in a lot of games like Forza Horizon and also Dirt 2. We are then going to have something like Hill Climb Big Rigs, which was going to have the Kenworth, which was insane, and a Freightliner. I know some of this might sound kind of dumb to people, but I gotta admit this was really surprising to me because I do not know of another off-road racing game or any big racing game for that matter that has a semi-truck like this, bro. And it's going to be a Kenworth and a Freightliner. Like, I know those two brands from SnowRunner, not from Dirt or a racing game. And I do know Forza Horizon has that Mercedes-looking truck, which I love driving that thing. But we're not going to have any crazy racing trucks like this. Would y'all like to see more of these in games? I feel like, yeah, these actually might be pretty dope to see in other racing games. But I kind of wonder why they don't show up. We are then going to have the Hill Climb Unlimited, which is also going to probably be one of my favorite classes in the game. I'm actually going to be doing a separate video on the Hill Climb Unlimited and the Pikes Peak races, guys, because they are so dang entertaining. I am going to show you guys some footage of that in the background right now, which was when I was using the Toyota. It was going to be a crazy looking Tacoma. It absolutely was so dang quick. I think it had like 900 horsepower or something. My goodness, it immediately hit 100 miles an hour without even trying. And of course, the entire Pikes Peak tracks are just so amazing. And then on top of having all that crazy speed, throw in the entire Pikes Peak track and it just gets even crazier, which again, I will touch on that in a different video. Probably one of my favorite tracks in the game, and also having this class in the game was just crazy. We had something like the Celica, we then had the Toyota Tacoma, which was wild. We were going to have a different car, which I think a Suzuki was also in there. With that, we're also then going to have the Rally Raid T1, which is basically the same class that was in Dirt 2. Something like the Hummer, like the Honda Ridgeline, you're going to see like the Volkswagen in here. You're also then going to have like a Mitsubishi and stuff like that, a BMW. So it was still going to be a fun mix of off-road vehicles there with different courses. And I feel like, again, it's going to be like the kind of variety or mix-up of classes that you would probably enjoy and most likely expect from a dirt game. I did kind of like driving these, though, because they were going to feel a bit different. They were a little bit faster. They handled a bit better on jumps and stuff. And also watching the AI go over every jump and crash was honestly hilarious, so that kind of did help a bit. With that, we're also then going to have the Rally Raid T4, which was basically going to be a Dakar truck. This was probably one of the most surprising to me. And you know what? The reason for that is simply down to the fact that I was not expecting to find these in this game, because last time I was driving a big Dakar truck was going to be in Dakar Desert Rally. Obviously, it's in the name there. They were going to be the big diesel trucks, and they handled very well on there. Surprisingly and also hilariously enough, they were the best handling vehicles I found in that game. And I feel like for this game being in 2007, guys, Codemasters did a wonderful job on these trucks, man. Not only did they handle very well, they were going to feel bigger than a car, which is probably obvious, but also I like the way they did feel with their speed. Like, they weren't going to feel like they were super slow. They were obviously going to be heavier. They turned pretty well. They handled bumps great. They never spun out or had like weird handling issues, which I think they did a great job on. And I would personally love to see another racing game have something like this, but I really don't know of another racing game besides Dakar that has actual big trucks like this. We are then going to have the Rallycross Modified, which I gotta admit, this class was pretty entertaining. I don't think there was a lot of cars in it, though. I think there was just the Lotus and the Audi TT, but I was kind of using the Audi TT a bit because I've always liked this car. I've kind of been like one of my favorites, and in fact, in playing Forza Horizon 5 recently, I was driving this car a good amount, had a pretty dope build on it. So when I saw this was going to be in the original dirt, I'm like, oh, dope, a rally version of this car, let's use it. And turns out, though, the Audi TT was going to be very quick and also kind of faster than the Lotus, even though the Lotus felt a little bit lighter in some places and stuff. But that was probably something I liked about it because you can clearly see one car has more horsepower and torque, but both vehicles were still going to be usable. I do like that we're actually going to have something like the Rallycross Modified in there. I do understand it's the type of class that you're most likely not going to be using. Like, if I had to guess, a lot of players are probably going to use the other rally classes. Like, for example, the front-wheel drive or even like the rear-wheel drive ones, or maybe you might end up wanting to use the Subaru or maybe like a Mitsubishi or something. Maybe a lot of players aren't going to be the biggest fan of the Rallycross Modified, which I do understand. I mean, I personally did the races with them, and I was like, I mean, that's kind of cool, but I now want to move back over to the other rally class. So do let me know which classes you guys like when it comes to rally and stuff. I would say the Rally Modified probably wasn't the biggest thing, but with that, we're also then going to have the Rally Supercars, which are also going to be just as insane and also very fast to use as well. I would actually say in some ways that yes, they are going to be quick, but I kind of like the way the Mitsubishi or something like the Peugeot even handled a bit more. I feel like those were going to be really fun. We also have the Citroen or Citroen. You know what? Every time I pronounce that car, it always comes out wrong, so I'm just going to call it the C4 because that was like the easier way to put it. That car was also going to be very fun to use in rally, was going to be four-wheel drive, insanely quick. Then I would move over to something like the Super Rally cars and go, okay, well, these look different because I was using the classic ones, but they are still going to perform decently well. They are going to be very quick, doing well over 100 miles an hour, but sometimes I feel like even though they might be fast, I might have more fun using something like a Toyota Celica or something, which for me felt amazing. And what's also hilarious, guys, I was doing one of the events in the Celica and I had the same livery on it. All I could really think about when driving this car was going to be Gran Turismo 7, and the reason for that, though, was coming down to the fact that I did remember driving the Toyota Celica in that game, and we all do know a lot of racing games do not have the Toyota Celica. I was driving this car a bit in Forza Horizon 5. I do know the crew doesn't have it, and most other racing games also don't have this car. So when I was driving the Toyota Celica, the first thing I was thinking about was that crazy snow track that was on Gran Turismo 7. Definitely great memories and going, man, this was in 2007. We got these cars in here. Really is going to be insane. But I gotta admit, guys, I feel like Dirt really did capture this very well. Not only like are some games going to have different car lists and stuff like that and different vehicle variety, some of them aren't going to have enough races or different things for them or different ways to capture these vehicles in their own aspect. And that's probably one of the craziest parts to me, though, is I was looking at Colin McRae's Dirt going, yo, this game came out in 2007. Look at some of the vehicles we had in here. We had the Dakar truck, we had Hill Climb Big Rigs, we had the Hill Climb Unlimited and stuff like that. Like, there was a good mix-up in there. And on top of that, guys, they were also going to get that entire itch scratched of the lovely rally races, which we all do know is going to be a staple in any dirt game. You kind of have to have that. But I really do like how they actually had the other Super Buggies, the Class 1 trophy trucks. Like, there was going to be different classes for everybody in there that really did mix everything up. I honestly still cannot believe we actually had big rigs in this game. I just don't even understand it because we have not seen that in any other racing game, at least that I know of. Then we're also going to have Dakar trucks and Dirt, man. Like, it's just insane. that is something I also did want to talk about in a future video. Now that I'm going to have more of the dirt games collected, I am currently missing Dirt Showdown, but once I find that, I'm going to go over all of them. Basically talking about how each game evolved from one to another, like going from Dirt 1 to Dirt 2, Dirt 3, and so on and stuff like that. So do stay tuned for that one. And I'm also going to go over my overall favorite game, or I guess you could even say the best game, I would say, out of the entire series after playing all of them. So do stay tuned for these videos in the future. And also, guys, let me know your thoughts on the card list and also the variety of it in Colin McRae's Dirt back in 2007. I think we can all admit this game really did start this, but also made this series so dang special. And even to this day, I really wish they'd make a sixth one, but I don't know about that.